Welcome to UNCAGED. Today we're speaking with Abedi. Abid is working on, I would say, a very, very important area. He's the founder and CEO of iCode, which immerses students in a hands-on curriculum that prepares them for the workforce of the future. He's also working on some really, really exciting learning products, and so we'll talk about that as well. But before we get there, Abid, tell us a little bit about you and your career.
Thanks, Van, for having me. I am an accountant by profession. I'm not a technologist, so I want to clarify that up front. But I've done a bunch of startups in the technology space, and I've done about 15 plus startups in different industries: technology, non-technology, real estate, food, and so on. But iCode is the one that is the most dearest, the most enjoyment that I get out of, because I think it is a great concept. It does something that's positive for the society that we live in, and what great business you could do that's actually doing good while is being a business as well. So I'm really, really excited about iCode.
So Abid, let's dig a little bit deeper into iCode. Tell me a little bit about the iCode story and how you got things going there.
You know, over the last 33 years that I've been an entrepreneur, I've hired thousands of technical talent. And there's a couple of things that sort of always bothers me. One is the shortage of technical talent. As long as I've been in business, since '96, there's been a constant shortage of technical talent. The second thing that was missing for me, especially being a non-technical person, is the communication skills, the interpersonal, the social skills of programmers. Brilliant folks, but very difficult to communicate, especially for a non-tech person. So those two things have always bothered me for 30 years that I've been an entrepreneur. So, and also I look at the society we are sort of creating for ourselves in the future. It's had to do with tech. And you know, there's no other business that I think is as important as tech, given where we are, especially with the chat GPT that's coming on board as well. So it was important for me that how can I combine the two different needs that we have as society. One, creating more talent, and also creating and helping students that when they graduate, they're ready for the society we're creating for them. And that's where iCode sort of came together. So yes, we teach kids 7 different programming languages when they go through a belt system. But more importantly, we don't focus necessarily on just the programming languages. We focus more on the soft skills that are so important. The interpersonal social skills, critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, teamwork, presentation, building skills, confidence, because that's what is the most critical thing that's lacking. There's a recent survey done of the employers, and they ranked the soft skills as the #1 thing they're looking for when they hire employees. We have a lot of institutions out there that's teaching kids how to code, and that's not as important, in my opinion, because you know, we all know in the past there were Power Builder, COBOL, PL1. Those languages don't exist, right? Today is a Python. Tomorrow it could be something else. With Chat GPT, we may not be even coding. But the social skills are absolutely essential, and that's what iCode is all about.
I love that. You know, I think that when I got into the media digital technology space, I used to deal with a lot of creatives, a lot of creative media folks, and they were always very difficult. You had to manage how you would work with them until I really started working with developers. And you're absolutely right. The ability to frame what they're working on and put it into the focus of the team is really critical. And when it happens, that's when magic happens, obviously. Yep. But tell me more, Abid. I love this area that you're playing in where you're working on developing and rolling out products that also help folks learn. Tell me more about what you're doing in that space.
You know, I'm sure you have kids and I have kids, and they spend way too much time on technical gadgets. the time in the rooms and all that, and it's really not teaches them anything, right? So I thought about, okay, what can I do to turn that passion that kids have for technology into a learning? So it's more productive time they're spending with technology rather than playing. So we got together with Texas Instruments, DGI, and Microbit, and came up with a product that basically teaches kids how to code and fly a drone using a Texas Instrument calculator. So this is actually a box that's going to be releasing this product in August 1st week, which has the drone, the calculator, and the microbits with it. It's a neat product. It comes with 3 lesson plans, and also people can sign up with subscription. So what I've done is taken different sort of electronic products and turn them into learning products. So the kids are actually doing something productive in doing what they enjoy, which is spend time with technology. So I think this is something that I'm really excited about, because I think it is, we all, as we are business people, but we also are parents or have grandkids. And it's important that we find ways to teach kids the things that are important and relevant, because kids these days are spending way too much time playing with technology. What we want to do to kids is teach them how to create technology versus play with technology.
I love that, Abid, and I love that product. So I think back on all of those fun toys we had back in the day that really kind of forced us to play around with technology. I was a big user of erector sets where, you had the erector motor and you'd get it to build cranes, and all the Texas Instrument toys over the years that have had just tremendous effects. So I love to see these new generation, and the fact that it's connected with the calculator is such a brilliant, brilliant idea.
Thank you.
I see these things, Abid, and I get very excited, but, I share your, I'd say, career-long suffering, which is to find talent and to find the folks that actually have certain skills. Where are we right now in terms of educating and making sure that those skills are readily available and people are evolving?
I think a great question, Ben. Here is sort of my contention. What we are teaching the kids and how we are teaching the kids haven't changed in decades since we went to school. The same concept, the teacher gets up and talks to the students memorize the stuff, we test them, and they write it down. So the kids who win are the kids who memorize the best. But in a day of age when we have more information available to us or to the kids on a phone, why they need to memorize it? These days, kids are learning things very differently to how we learn stuff. And yet, we have not changed what we are teaching and how we're teaching the kids. And that has to change. For us to create the employees of the future, we have to fundamentally change our education system, because I think it's broken, in my opinion, humble opinion. So what I'm trying to do is, do stuff where I think the school system is failing us. In terms of, rather than memorization, they should focus our kids more on how do you collaborate, how do you work in a team environment, how do you innovate, right? How do you build your confidence, right? How do you solve a problem? These things are important, and the schools are not focused on that. They're focused on the same old thing that worked well 30, 40, 10, 20 years ago. The society we're creating in the future is very different. The needs that we have in society, the jobs we're creating, according to the World Economic Forum, 65% of the jobs that we're going to have in 2030 have not been invented yet. 65% of the jobs in 7 years down the road have not been invented. And if anybody doubt that, ChatGPT is an answer that tells you that, in fact, is where we're heading. So it is imperative that we teach the kids that the skills that are necessary for them to succeed. And I think the school system is failing them, I think, dramatically.
So, Abid, I mean, I can see that you have a tremendous passion for the educational space, and really kudos, obviously, in getting everything moving and building the solutions that you're providing already. But let me change gears a bit. I mean, tell me what drives this passion. Was there something personal that happened, or is there, what's the genesis story here?
I have three girls, and I'm not a techie. My wife is an investment banker. She's not a techie. And they don't know the technology. And I think they're at a disadvantage, in my opinion. I couldn't get them interested because there's nothing like iCode that existed when the kids are growing up. And what I found is when I started iCode, I thought I would have mostly high school students who will attend iCode. It turned out it's elementary and middle school kids. 90%, 95% of the kids who attend iCode are elementary and middle school. So what has happened is kids who have grown up without the technology are not interested in technology. It's the newer kids. So it's absolutely critical that the parents engage the kids into something like an iCode, something with the tech earlier on rather than late. Because if it's late, they have other interests, they're not going to get on to the technology bandwagon. So I think for me, being an accountant, not a tech guy, I look at what is the problem that exists and do I have an elegant solution for that? And that's what drives me. So I thought that this is a space that nobody's thinking of, that everybody ought to be, but nobody is. And I could have a solution that solves a problem that I see coming. Because it's important that we as business leaders think what is going to happen down the road, not where we are today. We cannot be sandbagged and head in the sand where we are today. We have to think from a forward perspective, what are the problems, and come up with solutions. So this is sort of a solution to a problem that I personally feel with my three daughters. As I said, we are business people, but at the end of the day, we are parents and grandparents. So it's important that we address the needs and make sure that the kids have the skills necessary for them to succeed in life.
Abid, I love that. And I think, you're very inspiring. So I feel like we all need to continue to learn. And that's, I think, one of the lessons that we all need to take away from this conversation. But, here we are in another interesting year. I feel like I say that about every year, but over the last couple of years, we've had some very challenging moments. What's on the horizon for you and for the organization and for some of the products that are coming out?
I think, the whole chat GPT, the AI is, I think, good and bad. I mean, there are different views on it in terms of positive and negative. Just like with anything, is what we do with the technology or, the thing that's coming out. So I want to take advantage of, I think, the positive side of AI rather than the negative aspect of AI from that perspective. So I am concerned about the AI at the potential for AI. I worry about the international, conflicts that are taking place. For instance, the programmer pack is, the box and everything is built in China. The supply chain disruption that potentially happened. So there are some geopolitical things that are going on is of concern. AI from a technology perspective is a concern of mine, that it could be misused to the detriment of the society that we're trying to create, the positive aspect of it, but also the negative aspect of it. So those two things is, and a shortage of talent. I spent sleepless night of worrying about the talent for iCode, for the companies. I run 5 different companies, and I'm always have a hard time finding talent. It's a commodity that's not widely available, and I don't know why that's the case, but I think we have a huge shortage of talent in this country.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they can all attend iCode and kids today can start using some of these products that you're building, Abid, and we won't have those shortages in the future. If someone wanted to learn more about iCode as well as some of these other products that you're rolling out, where's the best place to find you?
There are three websites. If you're interested in enrolling your kid, it is icodeschool.com. If you're interested in buying a franchise, is icodefranchise.com. If you're interested in the product I just showed you, it is icodetech.io.
Great. Well, I mean, a lot going on. Abid, it's been amazing to talk with you today. We've been speaking with Abid Abedi. He is the CEO and founder of iCode, which aims to immerse students on a hands-on curriculum that prepares them for the workforce of the future. We've been talking about that workforce, I would say, of today and the future, that's moving at an accelerated pace, is requiring new skills, really basic developer skills, but also adding on these areas like generative AI and really all of these elements of how you design drones and self-driving vehicles. How do we train that next generation? And Abid is someone who's really driving those solutions and making sure that children and, maybe Abid, you have to have a class for adults as well, will be ready for all of these shifts and changes. One point, Abid, I did a thesis a couple of years back on AI, and one of the things that really stood out was how little companies were training their staff for the change. And interestingly, the big change wasn't that you could suddenly do all these amazing things. It was more, how do you alter the operational structure around these technologies? What do you do in a world where in the past you would hire junior designers to edit Photoshop pictures, and what do you do in a world where you don't need that anymore? And how do you train young people? How do you grow them? I think there's a lot of issues that we're not embracing, and almost like an endless area for iCode and endless need for why people need to attend iCode. So Abid, thank you so much for being on UNCAGED today, and we look forward to having you back.